Welcome to Adventures in Homebrewing, the second batch. Now, while the first batch wasn't exactly a success, it wasn't entirely a disaster either. So here we go with a second try. So the first attempt came with a demijohn, an airlock, some pipe and a sort of a racking crane and a thermometer. And this was said to be enough to sort of get you going with a few things you found around the home. Now, that didn't turn out to be entirely true. So I did have a jug, a sieve, though not a big enough sieve, I needed a bigger one, and I needed a bigger pot. It did turn out that I used every pot in the house to do the whole thing, so I've now got a second pot. But one thing I certainly did not have was a cleaning brush that looks like this. This was necessary to clean the demijohn afterwards. I was rather pleasantly surprised how little cost it is for sort of ingredients to do another batch. So I've gone on to the WW AleSmithing Homebrew for their sort of kit, and I've chosen the Goldsmiths Honey Ale. Now, the kit comes as follows. So we have the malts, we have the hops, we have some yeast and sterilizing tablets, we've got some sugars for bottling, and then we've got some honey, some more hops, and some Irish moss for this particular one. But best of all, I get a sock. Now this is a boil in the bag method, so I'm hoping that's going to be a bit more successful than some of the challenges I had last time. And even better, the instructions come, and you know they're quite detailed. So I do like the fact that I'm going to have hopefully a better chance of following these compared to my last disasters. So here we go. So the first couple of steps are to first of all boil up 200 millilitres of water for the yeast, and the main event, which is to boil up 3 litres of water in a large pot or kettle. So we've started. So this is the steriliser, just Milton. Just waiting for that to dissolve. I've boiled the kettle ready for the yeast. I need 200 ml of that, and the 3 litres of water are boiling. So it's time for a coffee. And one of the things that you sort of get with the sort of homebrew kit is a number of sticky labels which can go onto your bottles. Something I'm liking lots and thinking I'm going to spend some more money now on some bottles for the bottling phase later on. So, sterilising the demijohn. I'm sure we all remember this bit from before. This is the boil in the bag method. So while I'm waiting for this pot to cool down to 65 degrees and that for the yeast to cool down to 30 degrees, I've got to pin this muslin bag around the edges of the pot. Easier said than done. Probably wasn't supposed to drop it in the water in the first place. The grains should go into there, and that should make sieving and stirring later a bit easier. Right, so the water in the pot has reached 65 degrees, so we can start to add the malt. Now, there are 2 malts to add. The first is a pale malt, which is this one, and I can just carefully pour that into my oil in a bag. Hopefully without it all unclipping. We will see how this goes. That smells rather nice. And there is also a second amber malt as part of this one, which I also have to add. Now that hasn't sunk down into the water in the way that I was rather anticipating that it would. Let's see if I can give it some help. Smells great. My creating an artist's impression of the O2 with all my pegs was probably not the right way to do it. So this step is mashing. So my mission now is to keep this between 55 and 65 degrees. Now meanwhile, I'm supposed to be doing my yeast here, and this has got to drop to 30 degrees C. Check to cool to 30 degrees C, then pour in the yeast. Any hotter and the yeast will die. So clearly 40 degrees, which is what it is still too high. Basically, I've now just got to keep this to 55 to 65 degrees centigrade and for the next hour or so. I really think that the beer is going to be ready before this is cooled to 30 degrees. Hooray! We're finally at 30 degrees, so I can put in the yeast. Give that a bit of a mix. Then put some cling film over it.